Hey guys, it's ticking clock. Been wanting to make this video for a while now, and just never, I kind of just came a rabbit hole, and I just kept getting deeper and deeper, and I just got to the point where it's just like, you know what, just make the video, put it out there. So I'm just going to show you guys some of the recent information I've come across, and I've got a lot of new subscribers now from my Orion, Gilgamesh, Torchbearer video, and welcome aboard. That video was kind of a offshoot of my research, and I'd like to just kind of reintroduce some people, or introduce some people into kind of what I've been researching, and it involves these lines and what appears to be a pyramid, and this is based off of locations on the planet, and I found correlations with ancient sites, with the star Sirius, with the constellation Orion, and even with the winter solstice, and even geological formations. I believe this line here represents the perpendicular, or actually this line would represent the perpendicular positioning to the sun during the solstice, and we could find all sorts of strange anomalies, which I discuss in my other videos that follow these lines. But I just wanted to show you guys some interesting things here. One, I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this video are most likely aware of the owl above the Capitol building. I'm just going to rotate here, and if we look, you can see the outline of the owl, the eyes, the body, the tail, which extends out. And I believe this to be a representation of Athena, or even Isis. And you have the female representation here of the dome of the Capitol building, whereas you have the male representation at the monument, which is an obelisk right here. And you even have it in between I believe that's the Vesica Pisces, which is a female representation. So you have actually a junction point of a male and female symbolic representation here. But my main interest right now is in the owl, who I believe to be Athena and Isis. And if you've followed my research, you know that Washington D.C. lays on these lines. Now, if we go to the eye of the pyramid, we have Amun, or Amun Jordan. Amun, the Egyptian god. We have Amun Jordan virtually in the center of this eye. So if we zoom in, what we have here is the representation of what I believe to be Horus. Here you can see the head, and you can see the body of the falcon. So once again, we have a representation of a bird, and a giant bird, and this time it's Horus. So we have Horus, we have Isis, and they're both related to this grid pattern. Well, where's Osiris? And if we go to Nazca, we have the Nazca lines, and we have a lot of bird representations there. I'm gonna go here to the Nazca lines. We have the hummingbird. If this will load here. Here we have the hummingbird. We have the condor there. We have the heron. And that the lower part of this really looks to me like the representation of the bald eagle or any of the eagle structures that represent governments today. We have the pelican. I mean, it goes on and on. Then you have the giant, who this is the Atacama giant, which is actually further south. If we go back to Google Earth, we have the Atacama giant, which is further south of the line, but we can zoom in and take a look at him. Oh, you know what? That is a giant over in Nazca. The Atacama is different. But once again, you have that representation of a giant, and I think that's a connection, a direct connection to Orion. But yes, we do have a wow. We have the giant in Nazca. So my point was going to be that I believe the giant is a representation of Orion, who is a representation of an assortment of solar heroes, and it's well known that he's also, that constellation was represented as the soul of Osiris. So we have a direct connection on these lines of the Trinity. So you have Osiris in Nazca, we have Athena, Isis in Washington, D.C., and then we have Horus at the eye, and we have the representation of the Trinity. And it's all through birds and the giant. So, that's just a little teaser. I've got tons of information on my other videos about this research, and I urge you all to go back and check it out, see what exactly all these sites are on these lines. I mean, I have the pyramids of Giza, we have Stonehenge, it cuts through all the major cities on the East Coast, cuts through Teotihuacan, and it cuts through Nazca and many others. However, we have the builders. The Freemasons, they built Washington, D.C. They knew exactly where to place this city. And, I don't know if you guys have ever had any experience with a Freemason or anyone who's knowledgeable of Freemasonry, but they'll talk about, in order to figure out if you're a Mason, they'll ask you, are you a traveler? And that indicates to me that these people, the Freemasons, evolved from the Knights Templar, who were travelers. They traveled all over. They were considered the first bankers. But this evidence here of the lines represents to me a global acknowledgement and understanding, and the fact that they're representing the Trinity here, it means that we are missing huge chunks of our history. So we'll get back to that, but I want to go back to Stellarium and look at our Orion equinox dates. In my Orion video, where many of you I received a lot of new subscribers. If you go back to that video, you'll see that my dates are going to be wrong for the equinoxes and the solstice. And I noticed that. I was just looking back through the video, and I noticed, I had set these dates to what our solstice dates are today, and that is just completely wrong. And so what I did was I went back and I figured out where the equinox was, where the solstice was. And for example, the equinox, we see the intersection of the sun with the equatorial line here, the blue line. And what is really interesting about this is you have the galactic plane, you have the ecliptic, and you have the equator, and then you have Orion, and you have the sun, and you have him with his torch. If we look at this shape here, we'll see that it is the identical shape we have here. And I believe that this is a representation of, as above, so below. And I believe this is a representation of the Cairo. And we have Cairo, Egypt, right here. But I believe the Cairo represents this formation here that we'll see with the equatorial line, the ecliptic, and the galactic plane line during this Orion equinox. And if we look at the date, this matches up with Sumerian dates. So the Sumerian story, Epic of Gilgamesh, I was saying I thought this indicates it's older. I think this spring equinox is probably the most important. That and the winter solstice are the two most important dates. And so this does match up with our known history for this timeline of the story. However, I do believe it is an evolution of the story, and it is just a new part, just as the Greeks re-evolved all these characters. I believe the Sumerians did the same thing. And I would like to just fast forward here, and we go to the summer solstice. And we're just about there. We're pretty close. But I want you to notice we have our meridian line here, and you have your ecliptic line here. And so if we cropped that, what we have there is a cross, a Christian cross. And if we just zoom back here, whenever we see the Christian cross, what we see is usually Jesus being crucified, and behind him we have the sun. So, and we have the witness here, the Virgin Mary. But I believe that this here is the true meaning of the Christian cross, and it's the meridian line with the ecliptic line, which is another important solar symbol, just as much as the Cairo, which Constantine adapted and called it the Labarum. So that's my personal belief on that situation. So I'd like to get to what the real topic I wanted this video to be about. After my corrections and catching some of you up and some of my newer ideas, I'm going to change the view here. We're going to go to the celestial globe. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go. We're in our celestial globe. Okay, so we still got our lines represented here. And it's just a complete inverse of the lines I've made on the globe. And I just wanted, I was looking at this, and I was like, something is weird here with Orion. He is neatly tucked in within the lines, and I really strongly felt that he has something to do with this. And I was just observing this, and this video is going to take a mature audience swing here.